Hey everybody, it is your host Jonah Lupton back again with another episode of the Startup Sense podcast. Thank you so much for listening today. If you enjoy our show, please share it with a friend or go on to iTunes or Google Play and leave a review for us. Thank you. Today's episode is, of course, amazing. They all are. But this is a guy that you've probably seen several times on TV. He is the co-founder, along with his mom, of a company called Squatty Potty. So they were on Shark Tank a couple years back. They were probably one of the more successful companies to ever get onto Shark Tank, given they had about $6 million in sales. But what they've done since Shark Tank is just incredible. And we're going to jump into all that in a second. So let's welcome Bobby Edwards, the co-founder of Squatty Potty, to the show. Bobby, how are you?
Hey, good morning. Hey, Jonah. Good to be here.
Absolutely, man. So tell us about yourself.
Well, I'm a true entrepreneur. Went to college for a couple semesters and dropped out and started. My first job was working for Fox Broadcasting in Los Angeles, and I was an assistant to a copywriter, and I started writing copy for, TV Guide and print stuff that they had back then, before the internet. And then they split that department into a online department. And I started working in the online department at Fox, the online marketing department, and producing websites for the television shows. And then after that, that's when I was got sick of working for the big man and decided to work to start something with my brother. And we started a construction company. I moved back to Utah, and he had kind of had a gig going. And I said, well, it looks pretty exciting and pretty, nice working for yourself. So he lured me back to Utah and was working with him and grew that business up to a nice profitable business, and then came up with the idea of Squatty Potty. And after a few years of tinkering around with that idea, I decided to sell half of my business to my brother and go full force with Squatty Potty. So, and then the rest is kind of history, and we'll talk about that.
So what year did you come up with the idea, and then what year did you really start focusing?
So it was about 2009 when the concept really came to the top of my mind. I had some friends who had talked about squatting to poop and how it was so much better and how anatomically that's the way we're supposed to go. And about that time was when my mom, who had been constipated her whole life, shared it with me that she was constipated and that she had been using kind of a regular stool to help her go, but it didn't quite work for her, the regular stool. So she's like, what I really have this idea for is like a custom stool that's exactly the right height and the width and what I need. And she goes, can you make that for me? And I said, well, we kind of just started sketching right then and there, like over the kitchen table, this design of a stool that would fit around the toilet. And that's when I came up with the idea to make it horseshoe shaped so that it would snug and be permanently stored under there. And we just came up with pretty much most of the design elements that are in the Squatty Potty we came up with that night. And then I had a friend make it for me out of wood. And, he had a CNC machine. He cut it out and screwed it together. And voila, Mom was like happy as punch. Just she had her poop stool that worked perfectly.
So what did you do after that? Did you take the stool to your friends' houses and let them use it? How did you?
So it kind of laid there for a minute. Mom used it for a while, and then about a year later, she got the idea to. She's like, Bobby, will you make me some of my poop stools for friends for Christmas? So we got the pattern out and made about half, a couple dozen of them, and she gave them away. That was actually a brilliant idea because then we saw the feedback from that initial gift of a Squatty Potty back in 2010. And people loved them. And then more and more requests came in. It just snowballed from there. And I knew we were onto something. There was nothing out there in the market that could help people achieve this. And the concept really worked for a lot of people. People were talking about it, alternative health people. And the concept wasn't new, but there was just nothing out there to help people achieve a squat around their toilet. So we decided to create Squatty Potty.
Awesome. So, a product like this, right? It's going to require really unique marketing and education. So how did you guys first get the message out there? I mean, how did you educate the market that this is the type of product that people should be using in order to poop better?
Yeah. So I had some experience in creating websites, early on at Fox. And so I knew some of the basic things that you needed to create a site that people could find and create something that people were looking for. And we did some research, and people were searching for this. But there was nothing out there. So I just created that site that was rich in those keywords and
Right.
and with a product people could buy. And this was, a little more difficult. It might be a little more difficult now because there's so much crap out there. But back then, it popped up to the top immediately, and people found us. So right away, we started selling about 5 or 6, Squatty Potties a day. Just when we created the site, and shipping them all over the country, even all over the world. But it was slow. It's kind of,
Now,
5 or 6 a day.
I mean, at that point, you guys weren't still shipping wooden stools, though, right? I mean, you had gone to a manufacturer and you had them.
No,
I
at that
assume.
point, we were shipping wooden stools at that point.
Oh, wow.
They were a wood product that we would assemble in our garage and paint, light, and ship out. So it was about $100 product,
Okay.
But
There's a lot. I mean, a lot more labor and materials that went into it, though.
Yeah. So my friend would make them. He would cut them out for us, and then we would assemble them and ship them. So it was a lot of labor, but it's where we started. We have to start somewhere, and you kind of get engaged from there. And you could see pretty quickly that we were going to outgrow that operation. So that's when we decided to design and manufacture a plastic molded version of it and make that investment in that. It was we scaled it. We bootstrapped everything. We did what we could when we had the money, and that's how we threw it.
So how did you go about finding the right, product design company and then the right manufacturer? And then how much did you spend on all that, the molds and everything?
Yeah, so that initial investment was not a lot, actually. It was only about $40,000 to get the design and then get the mold manufactured. We had it all done in China. Again, a friend of a friend who knew somebody in China who, we live in Utah, so there's like a lot of Mormons that go on missions. And so this, a friend of a friend who went on a Mormon mission to China, Hong Kong, knew manufacturing, and he helped us get that first mold made. And we had about 2,000 stools made in China, the first load, about a half a container. And they showed up in Utah, and I thought, I'm never going to sell these. This is crazy. I've lost my mind. And we literally were unloading them into a storage unit in St. George, Utah, which is like in the summer, 107 degrees and so hot. And I'm just so discouraged. Like, I can't believe I've spent all this money on these crazy plastic stools.
And where'd you guys get that money from? I mean, was this just money that you had saved up from the earlier sales, or did you guys?
We had some money. Yeah, we had some money there. About that time, we had some friends in the community come in and give us some seed money as well. One of them was a founder of Overstock.com. So his wife was a fan of the concept and the product. She had bought several for her bathroom, and I was delivering them one day, and she goes, "Do you need an investor?" And I was like, "We're okay now." And then about 3 months later, I called her back. So we need some money. So they helped us out in the beginning. They believed in us and believed in our concept and believed in me. So they gave me quite a bit of money to do what I wanted with it, and it really has paid off for them. We helped us out and helped them out.
So how quickly did you guys go through that first, inventory?
So it's hard to recall. So about that time we were doing probably 7 a day. And then, and then it kind of dropped up to 15 a day. So that first inventory lasted about 3 months is all. It went pretty quickly. As soon as we dropped the price, right, we were selling these stools for $75.
Right, because they were wood, yeah.
Yeah, so we dropped the price down to $45 for the plastic one initially. And then we think we dropped it down to $35. As soon as we got to $35 is when they started flying.
Okay, so that was the magic price then.
Yeah. We did some price testing, which is so great. That's what's so great about starting business online. You just test it for a few days and see what happens, go up and down. It's awesome. So
you guys were manufacturing in China, having them shipped to Utah, warehousing in Utah, and then you guys were just doing all the fulfillment yourselves?
we would fulfill them ourselves, yeah. And initially at that point, still out of my parents' garage. And then after we got in trouble with the HOA and the UPS driver was like, I can't be doing this anymore. We had to get a warehouse. And then we moved into this 5,000 square foot warehouse, which again was just huge, cavernous. I just thought, there's no way we're going to, this is way too much space. And then within a year, we'd outgrown that. So
my God. This is Jonah Lupton, founder of the Lupton Group and host of the Startup Sense podcast. Are you struggling to find the right tech team to build your company's website or mobile app? Maybe you've developed a product but need help with your go-to-market strategy, including branding and marketing. Well, stop worrying, because my team at the Lupton Group can assist you with all of those needs. We specialize in helping entrepreneurs and startups of all sizes launch and grow their businesses. For a free consultation, you can email me at jonahlupton@gmail.com or visit our website at luptongroup.co. How many employees were you at that point? I mean, how fast was the team growing?
So, we were about 5 is all. We had a couple people in fulfillment, and then we would double up as customer service. I did customer service for the first 3 years. So,
that's pretty incredible. I mean, you guys were selling thousands and thousands of these a month, 5-person team. You guys must have making some pretty good money.
Even today we only have 15 employees. So we're we've always run, worn a lot of hats, and we just do what we need to do to get it done, really. I mean, people are becoming more organized and more formal, but
sure.
it's still, we just had employee reviews this week from last year, and I just said, we all wear a lot of hats. We all have the same mission. That's to change the way America poops. And
you guys are doing it.
Yeah.
So fast forward to today, or actually, I guess we'll do a pit stop first on Shark Tank. So when did you decide that going on Shark Tank, or at least applying for Shark Tank, was the right decision?
So I'm going to actually go back before Shark Tank, because there was a huge thing that happened before Shark Tank. And that is that Howard Stern started talking about the Squatty Potty. So what I was saying is, why I bring this up is because initially, this is why I was so attracted to Squatty Potty, was because I could see the potential for media interest in it. In the beginning, in the early days, I'd bring it up with my friends, and I'd start to show them this idea and product, and everyone just got a really good laugh about it. And especially after they sat on it for a minute and called me back the next day, and they're like, "This is genius. This is hilarious. Why aren't we talking about this need to squat to poop when it really works and it really helps people?" And I could see the interest that I got from friends. So I knew that it would be newsworthy, and it would be funny and fun, but also helpful, and all these great things. And so I thought that was kind of magic, that this simple product had so many qualities to it. And so sure enough, one day we're sitting, actually I was just waking up, and I'm looking at the analytics, and we're all, we had sold 400 orders by 9 a.m.
Wow.
And it was just 10,000% spike. What's going on? So I throw my clothes on, run to work, and trying to figure it out. And all of a sudden we figure out that Howard Stern is talking about the Squatty Potty, because Robin had bought one for her colon. She had some colon issues, and she bought one and was talking about it on the show. So that was huge. I mean, that went on for months and months, and it still goes on. People still go on Howard. Jenny McCarthy was like, "Oh, thanks for the Squatty Potty recommendation. I love mine." And Jimmy Kimmel loves the same thing, and Bryan Cranston, all these celebrities go on Howard and talk about the Squatty Potty. Still, it's awesome. So,
and that wasn't any forced media marketing, right? That was just organic.
Nothing.
I mean, people love the product.
Totally organic. Yeah. We eventually started sponsoring Howard and paying for it, and that's when it gets a little your margins are a little slimmer when you start to pay for it, but it still worked for us. But that was a huge thing for us. That was something that really put Squatty Potty on the map. Howard has 25 million listeners, and it's a lot of people that tune into Howard and like him. So even though I wasn't one of them, because or my parents definitely don't listen to Howard. I actually like Howard now, but I wasn't ever turned on to him before that. But now I'm now I'm a big fan.
Right. He
So anyway,
definitely has.
before the Shark Tank.
He definitely provides some unique content.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Okay, so you guys, so Howard helped you guys kind of get to those, to seven
Yeah,
figures in revenue, and then you decided
yeah.
that maybe Shark Tank would be a good fit.
Yeah, I bring that up because we had actually auditioned for Shark Tank a year before and didn't get on. I just
Oh,
don't
okay.
think I don't think they had given us enough credibility. It's kind of a tricky subject, especially something to talk about on television when you're talking about the anatomy and you're talking about pooping and if you don't do it right, it's tricky. So we had kind of refined our message within that year, and the producer called us back and said, listen, I've been hearing a lot about you guys. I want to have you guys on. Let's make sure it happens this year. And so we got on the second time.
Now with Shark Tank, I mean, they really don't give you much warning as to when you're actually going to air, right?
You have no idea. We knew 3 weeks before we aired.
And I mean, was that enough time to kind of prepare yourselves in terms of inventory, in terms of making sure the website didn't crash? Because I mean, you're going to get a spike in both.
Yeah, I mean, it still was a little rocky that night that we aired, but we were pretty much ready. As far as inventory, our shark had kind of guided us on what we could sell, but again, we'd also had some big hits with Howard, so we had kind of refined that whole thing. But with nothing, we were still caught unprepared. I mean, we sold out. We sold something like $4 million in product in the first 3 weeks right after Shark Tank.
Wow!
And we were sold out.
That's incredible.
It definitely was a record. Yeah, nobody has ever done that well right out the gate. And it was the perfect time because it was right before Christmas. So it was like people were in the buying mood, and the Squatty Potty makes a great gift. Every year at Christmas is. Fourth quarter is, almost half of our business is in the fourth quarter every year. So it's pretty incredible.
So talk to us about, I mean, since Shark Tank, you guys have just been like a rocket ship, up and to the right on the sales curve. So what are you guys doing right now in sales, considering that 2016 just ended? What are some of the numbers?
Yeah, so it looks like we're going to be right around 27 million for 2016.
Incredible. Wow.
So, yeah, and a lot of that's moved to retail, right? We've always been really heavily e-commerce, internet-based, Amazon, SquattyPotty.com. But that's changing now that more and more retailers are really. It was tricky to get them to buy because they don't know where to fit in their store. They don't know where to put it. Do they put it on as seen on TV? Do they put it with the gadgets and gizmos? Do they put it with the toilet brushes? And it was a little confusing.
Your answer is put it everywhere.
Yeah. Well, it belongs in the pharmacy. I'm like, put it in the pharmacy. It belongs in the digestive health section because that's what it is. But I
was going to say, so right now, retail is, because I mean, before Shark Tank, you guys are about 100% online. Now a couple years has passed, with the help of Lori. What are some of the big retailers that you guys are currently selling in? And then what is that split between online sales and retail sales?
Yeah, so you could, Squatty Potty is in Bed Bath & Beyond, of course, and then Target is the other major national retailer. We're in Costco right now with just a temporary drop in, and it's amazing. Costco is selling, they sold 30,000 units on Christmas week.
Wow.
So Costco's doing great. We'll pull it out to just kind of keep it fresh. We don't want to stay in there full time. And then we're in talks, and then CVS is putting it in nationwide this year. There's a lot going in 2017. Lowe's we're in all the Lowe's stores now.
I mean, so you guys are probably, you're obviously in thousands of stores, but by the end of this year, you're going to be in tens of thousands.
We are, yeah. So we're in about last year we were in about 3,500 doors, and this next year will be over 13,000.
That's incredible. So talk to us about, we haven't had a guest like you on the show that's done this much business in retail, that has relationships with these enormous, big box stores. Talk to us about working with them. Like, how do you manage the inventory, the shipment cycles? How often do they pay you? I mean, it gets very complicated, doesn't it?
It does, and it is, and it was tricky to navigate and figure out. we were lucky that we have a product that people are buying. So all of our relationships are really good relationships right now. So because they like the product and they like us. So, but getting that all figured out, and initially we had hired reps to kind of help us with that, and none of that ever really worked. And so I hired one of the initial investors to start calling on buyers, retail buyers, and he'd look on LinkedIn and he would just investigate for days trying to find the retail buyers. He would find them, and he's found them. I mean, he found the Lowe's buyer, he found the Costco buyer, and he found the CVS buyer, all just with his own investigation. So we actually have direct relationships with all of our retailers. We only have a representative in a small portion of our retailers. So we deal directly with them. Our office, in fact, I deal directly with Bed Bath.
And I would assume that your suggestions or your advice for other entrepreneurs is if you have a product, go direct to the company, don't go through reps.
I would say do that. Yeah, it's really not, because you're going to be paying a rep initially, like sometimes up to 10%, and that's right off the top. Like that's right. Huge.
Yeah.
The more proper price would be probably 2 to 3%, which is what you should be paying. But unless you're a proven product, sometimes it's hard to get that low. But I would say, that's money on the table that should be yours, because it's really not that hard to handle these relationships. There's a lot of EDI. There's a lot of communications. If you have somebody on your team that's good with spreadsheets and all that stuff to get you connected, and you find the right partner to help you with that, you can do it yourself. And I would do it myself. We save so much money in commissions.
So how do you, how often are these retail stores taking shipments from you guys? And are you guys still shipping out of Utah exclusively?
Yeah, we are. So we manufacture in Utah. So shortly after we built that first tool in China, we had it shipped to U.S. and started manufacturing in Utah. And we've kept manufacturing in Utah. It's easier to control, and it's not that much cheaper out of China. So that's a huge benefit. So everything's manufactured in Utah. We don't, of course, do any of the manufacturing. And now we don't do any of the fulfillment. We haven't done any of the fulfillment for a couple of years either. So it's all sent to Salt Lake City, a central warehouse, a 3PL, and they ship it out. They have, they're connected to all of our retailers through electronically through EDI connection. Okay. So, okay. A retailer will issue a purchase order, which is automatically picked up by our EDI and sent to our fulfillment center and then shipped out accordingly. But there's a lot of labeling requirements. Everyone is so unique. All these retailers have their own personality, and there's nothing really universal. It's very complicated.
Right. So each retailer wants special stickers or special wording on the boxes or the labels. Yeah.
Yeah, it's all. And if it's not done correctly, you're fined, or it doesn't get there. So, for instance, one of our this over Christmas, our Lowe's shipment went out labeled incorrectly, and they held it. It was supposed to be placed on Black Friday, and it never got placed on the floor until after Christmas in a lot of locations. So that was a big opportunity. It was a big opportunity lost, and we had to smooth that over with them. But everyone's so unique. But so I'm not saying do it yourself, but find somebody where you can trust to do it with you. I don't do anything. I've hired people. I find that by hiring people and having them with a little skin in the game, it works better for me, as opposed to hiring out.
So in the early days of Squatty Potty, it sounds like SEO was pretty important because you talked about keywords. Right. Obviously today retail is pretty important. If you guys are doing, you did 27 million last year. I think you said 40 to 50% of that is retail. So you're still doing, close to $15 million a year online. Right. Where's that traffic, or where are those sales generating from?
Amazon.
Okay.
Most of them are on Amazon. Our website, our corporate website does, I think, 4 million. Actually, 5 million this year. So it's still relevant. It's still important. It's still important to have that page and have, a place where people can go and learn about you, and you can be social and all that, blog and be active. And but as far as revenue, most of the revenue online has moved to Amazon, and we fought it. I fought it for years, trying to And then I thought, you know what, this is a losing game. How can we work with Amazon? So we struck up a relationship with Amazon that's very healthy. I have an Amazon rep, on my speed dial. I go to Seattle every 2 months, and it's they're a very valuable partner for us. It's just the way that people are buying things right now. And we get a few people that, we keep our website strong and healthy and relevant, but I decided trying to fight the Amazon machine and join them. I joined the collective.
So this year, Squatty Potty might do $1 million per month on Amazon. It sounds like.
Oh yeah,
that's incredible! Wow. I mean, how are people finding on Amazon versus just coming to the Squatty Potty website? Like, what makes?
We did $4 million in December on Amazon.
Jesus, oh my God! Are you able to do any special advertising or placement on Amazon? Do they give you anything special?
Yeah, so they have a couple opportunities. They have an AMS, which is similar to like a Google keyword, Google AdWords account. It's called Amazon Marketing Services. You run it yourself. You bid and purchase and buy and do all that yourself. And they have another advertising opportunity called Amazon Marketing Group, AMG, and that's expensive. We tested that a little bit. The problem with that is it's new for them and they don't have any reporting, and so I'm not just going to throw money at something that I don't see data from.
Right.
Yeah. So I pulled away from the Amazon Marketing Group, and now we're just doing AMS, and I have somebody in-house that does all of our AMS stuff.
I mean, the last time I looked at these numbers, which I think was probably a few months ago, was Amazon Prime has like over 70 million members, I think. So, and I guess that's a big part of this, right? These people that are Amazon Prime members, they can get their delivery, same day or next day. And it's just hard to compete with that.
People love it. There's a group of people out there that don't want to deal with Amazon. They don't get it. They don't know how to shop, and it's confusing for them. And they prefer to shop at squattypotty.com. But, for a vast majority of the people, and the Squatty Potty is a unique item too. It's a kind of a personal care item. It's kind of a personal item. So I think that's another reason why it's so popular on Amazon, because of the anonymity of purchase,
Now, talk to us about, in terms of, a lot of companies out there create videos that they plan to use as part of their marketing strategy. And of course, everybody wants their video to go viral, but most of the time it doesn't. Your video, the unicorn pooping video, has gone mega viral. So, I mean, how much, what did you guys put into that in terms of, money, if you want to talk about it, or how did you get that video to be so damn popular?
So I think it was a really good idea. I think, not only did the people that execute it do a really good job, I just think the whole concept was really good. Like, it was timely, and it was effective at explaining the problem with our, the problem solution that the Squatty Potty solves. So initially, I had wanted to hire that group, the Harmon Brothers, who created it years ago, because I knew our product spoke to this type of marketing, and but they were too expensive, and I was, so we had attempted several different videos on our own. We actually had an animated graphic video that we created for, I think, $5,000 that has almost 15 million views, and it was a really popular video. A lot of people shared that because it talked about, and it was just made out of animated graphics, like with After Effects and music, and it just told a story. So,
and in comparison, I mean, the unicorn pooping video, I mean, that's gotten at least 30 million views just on YouTube, and then that probably doesn't even count all the other networks and platforms it was shared on.
Yeah, most people are sharing things on Facebook now because it's it's an easier platform to share. And on Facebook, it has over 120 million views. So, we won. We got the Facebook Gold Award last year for our campaign, which is one of the highest they give. And we were against Nike and all these huge ad agencies out of New York, and so that was quite an honor. And we also won the Webby for that award. But my point is, I wanted to get the Harmon Brothers for years, and we finally got to a point where we could afford them. And by afford them, it was like $250,000 to create that.
Wow. So what were you guys doing in revenue when you actually pulled the trigger on that?
So I think that year we were going to do. I think that was maybe a $12 million year that year.
Okay, so that's after Shark Tank.
After Shark Tank, yeah.
Okay.
It was after Shark Tank, and against the advice of all the partners, and we created the unicorn video anyway.
So, I mean, $250,000, that probably doesn't include, or maybe it does include some of the ad spend to really, to get it going, keep it out there. Any idea what the ROI on that video is?
It was $250,000 to create, and then $50,000 to boost it. We spent $50,000 initially. So after seeing it, I'm like, we need to spend. I wanted to spend $100,000, but we did 50, and it went from there. So we still spend money on it now, but for 5-6 months we didn't spend any money on it. It just went.
Now, I mean, how do you track an ROI on a video like that? I mean, I know it's hard.
Yeah.
Are you able to put any numbers against it and say, okay,
yeah. No, it's all there's of course a lot of assumptions because a lot of purchases aren't not made on your website, which is the only way you can track. So, but we can do direct purchases from video views, and you can kind of make assumptions from there. So, for instance, if I spend $200, I get $400 in sales directly for people who watch the video and click through. I know that I'm getting a 2-to-1. But then that doesn't include purchases on Amazon or Bed Bath & Beyond or at Costco.
Right.
So we're trying to run at least around 1-to-1 online, just direct purchases. We feel that's successful for us. So that's kind of where we spend today, is about 1-to-1.
That's smart. Yeah. So if you break even on your online ad spend, but you also know that you're creating brand awareness with it, so people are going to walk into their local retail store and buy it as part of that view.
Exactly.
So what's been we interview founders like you, and you tell us, these amazing numbers and everything that's gone right. And we all think, oh, wow, they got lucky, or it's been easy. But I think most entrepreneurs would know that there's a lot behind the scenes that we don't see or we don't talk about. So, what have been some of the biggest challenges, or maybe even the biggest mistakes that you guys kind of made along the way?
Yeah. So, I think some of our biggest mistakes have been going, and this is just for us. I'm not saying you need to do everything yourself or don't, trust other people. But when we figure, you think that you will find a savior in somebody else, coming in. There's so much noise out there of people wanting to help entrepreneurs be successful, but it all comes internally. Nobody knows the product or like you do, right? Nobody knows the business like you do.
Right.
And so we spent a lot of money on consultants early on because I knew this was a good idea and we knew it could go big, but we didn't know how to do it. So we'd hire people to tell us how to do it or do it for us. And it was always a lot of wasted money because they don't work on the product like you would. So it's not that we didn't learn from them, and we got rid of them when we realized it was not going anywhere. But I always tell myself, I'm like, I wish I would have done did that deal with this person because they make more money than me, and then they didn't do as good a job as me.
Yeah, I'm guessing if you'd asked some consultants, they probably would have said, "Oh my God, spending $300,000 on a video with a unicorn pooping is a horrible idea."
Exactly. No, it was not. And that's when I followed my gut instinct, and it wasn't just mine. My parents too. Where my dad came to me in the night because we decided not to do it. We had gone through the whole pitch with the Harmon brothers, and they pitched us this pooping unicorn, and I didn't love it. I was curious about it, but everyone hated it. And then so we decided, no, we're not going to do it. And then couple of months later, my dad comes into my office and he goes, "We need to do that unicorn video." I said, "Yeah, we do. We need to do it." So we just followed our gut instinct against the advice of everyone else and did it. And it was wild. It paid off. This is just our story. But, another consultant we hired to do television for us, asking on TV type spots on television, it was a huge mistake. We spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on that campaign, and it did not return it because we were confined by our messaging on television, what we couldn't say and what we could say with the FTC and with broadcast regulations about pooping, and we weren't bound by those rules on internet. So that's why I think the internet commercial was so much more successful, and the television commercials were a bomb. And we learned this, it hasn't been all easy. We've tried a lot of different things.
What?
There?
Oh yeah, I'm here. No, I'm just listening.
Sorry.
No, I'm trying not to interrupt because you're just saying a lot of good stuff. What over the last few years, as being an entrepreneur and the founder and CEO of this company, what do you think you've learned that's made you a better CEO today than you were a few years ago?
I just hire really good people. I think I have a certain management style that's a little unique. I trust the people around me that they'll do the work for me, and they do, and it's worked out for me. I give them a loose leash, and I create and foster creativity from within each of them. So if anyone has an idea or sees something that they think might work, or everyone's welcome to talk and bring it up, and I encourage it. Actually, I encourage when we're out having a beer with the team to talk about this stuff and be on social media. I don't care if it's on the clock. Do it, because this is where you're going to find the ideas for us. So I just encourage free thought and free thinking within the office community and the culture in our office. I think that's why we've become that we're unique. We're kind of a little brave and different in our marketing, but it's working. It works.
It sounds like a fun place to work too. I mean, I can just from talking to you and seeing your interaction on Shark Tank and listening to podcasts. I mean, I can tell that you kind of have like a laid back, but I'm sure your employees respect you. So if you can have fun and still have their respect, that's important.
It's a lot of fun. Squatty Potty is a lot of fun. I mean, we get to talk about poop and rainbows and unicorns and whatever all day, and it's funny and fun but when the nose needs to hit the grindstone, we do it. We power through it, and but the work is paid off, and it's fun to see the creativity that comes out of it, from the office. It's awesome.
So I know you spent a large, or a majority of your life living in the Los Angeles area. Here you are now building this super successful company in Utah. What is it like growing a company in Utah? I mean, finding the talent. It just seems like it's become a very friendly state for doing business. Can you talk to us more about that?
Yeah, no, it's an extremely friendly place to do business. I think, the cost of doing business is really inexpensive here. There's also a lot of talent here. The culture is unique. Of course, there's a lot of Mormons, not particularly at Squatty Potty, but in the area, where Squatty Potty is about 50-50. we've got the 50%, and the 50% that aren't Mormon, but we all respect and work well together. But it's unique because everyone, I think from a young age, a lot of people are taught about, well, you go to school, you go to college, and then maybe you get an advanced degree, and then you go work for somebody else. But that's not how it is in Utah. It's like, do what makes you happy and do what you have to do to provide for your family. It's a little bit different. Like, you're not going to find the treasure that you from another person. You've got to create it yourself. And I think It's ingrained in our culture. And so you see a lot of entrepreneurial spirit here. And a lot of people aren't afraid of failure either. It's like they're not afraid to jump and do it. And I see that everywhere around me. And so I think it's kind of ingrained in the culture now in Utah. And a lot of people have found success. There's a lot of failure for there's more failure than success, a lot more. But I just don't think people aren't afraid to try.
Have you had any acquisition offers for Squatty Potty?
So we've had a few, yeah. It's an exciting brand. People are interested in it. So,
right.
Yeah.
I mean, so obviously you've said no to each of them. What would it take? What would it take to get you to sell the company?
Well, I don't want to leave anytime soon. We have exciting new products coming out. I'm in the middle of creating, a whole entire gut health, line of unique products that will help people with a lot of ailments, and as well as we've designed and developing a new bidet that's totally unique from anything that's out there. So I'm anything to help anyone poop better that in a way that might be uncomfortable to talk about for most people, we're going to tackle that, and we're finding unique ways to do that, and the products to do that with. So that's my, I want this to be 100 million plus company in the next few years.
Are you going to release some of those products under the Squatty Potty name or create different
They'll all
brands?
be under Squatty Potty. Yeah. It's, people really like their Squatty Potty. People trust us. They like us. We just released a spray, the Unicorn Gold spray, and it's now 20% of our business. It's doing really well. It's there's another competitor out there, Poopery. It's similar to that, but ours works better. Ours has real freaking gold in it. So, and nanoparticles of gold that kill sulfur, the stink and smell, and it's really effective at what it was meant to do, and it works great, and people like it. And it's got great reviews on Amazon. So that product's going to be, a relevant product for us. And then we've got some more coming out this year too.
And so it sounds like the sprays are a nice upsell. So once someone comes to your website, they buy a Squatty Potty, you have other ways to add value to the order. Yeah.
And now our retailers want that. So, it was just released last November, so it's still brand new, but the sell-through on it is really strong. So in fact, at Target, they sold more Unicorn Gold than Squatty Potty. So.
And I see, and you even have a unicorn pooping shirt now, which I think I need to pick up myself. So.
Oh yeah, we've got the merch.
Have you ever been walking around Utah and you just see someone wearing one of these unicorn pooping T-shirts and just start laughing?
Yeah, I just went to a yoga class last night and the guy had a unicorn shirt on.
Last question for you. What are some of your goals for 2017?
International is huge for us. We've been kind of quiet there, and just selling as the demand is met. We haven't put a lot of effort, but that's going to change this year. We're going into Japan is a huge market for Squatty Potty. It's just begun there, and the wave is going to grow there over the next few years. Thank goodness our CFO went on a mission to Japan, so his wife is Japanese. So we're going to tackle that market. Also the UK and Europe. Those are big, but then also product development. Like I said, that Squatty Potty pharmacy line. We've got an interesting herb that's like helping a lot of people with their GERD and other, H. pylori, some other gut ailments that people suffer from. And these are unique new things that people have getting really good results with. So it's just that stuff, developing product development and grow the business internationally, and then also retail stores domestically, grow that.
With regards to selling international, are you going to start online or go into retail?
We are. So in all these countries, we're using our relationship with Amazon to get inventory and distribute. And then, in Costco is a big partner now for us. They want to put it worldwide. So, and Costco stores do really well. And I'm going to Europe next month to meet with Boots, which is like kind of a Walgreens of the UK, and other retailers. So it's kind of both. Awesome.
Well, we'll end it there, man. I know you're a busy guy. I'm sure you got plenty of things to do for the rest of the day. So just want to thank you, truly for coming on the show and sharing this journey with us. From an idea 5 or 6 years ago to $27 million in sales. That's pretty amazing. So I really want to thank you. Any
like talking about
it. I can tell, you're pretty passionate about it, and that's essential, right? For building any successful company, you got to love what you're doing. If one of our listeners wanted to purchase a Squatty Potty, what's the best place? Or just go to the website, squattypotty.com?
Yeah, squattypotty.com. Just type in Squatty Potty in your browser and you'll have a million options.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Bobby.
It'll change your life.
You are the man. I'm going to try to get out to Utah one of these days. And if I do, I'd love to meet up and grab some lunch and talk to you about business.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk about it. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely, man. Wish you the best and have a great year.
You too. Take care.
Okay. Take care.